and you know, we need it. Had a team meeting this morning, and we got about 10 guys that are pretty banged up and need some time off. So it comes at a great time. I'd like for us to be undefeated, but I'm glad we're not 0-2, or 1-2 or 0-3. So, you know, we're in a situation where we get a chance to heal up and try to get enough time that we can get prepared for Furman, try to get prepared for the stretch run, because from that point on, it's on for the rest of the year. And we got plenty of work to do.
How about just with the schedule the way it is, getting a breather right now and getting prepared for the rest of the conference play, the rest of the schedule?
That's exactly what the mission is. Furman in 2 weeks, Bethune right after that. You know, we don't play for 16 days, but once we do play, it's like 2 games in 5 days. So we probably need to try to figure out how to maybe do a little something for Bethune, but I don't know if we can stomach that right now. We need to probably just go ahead and prepare for Furman. Furman's so good too now. I mean, I saw them play Central Florida this past Saturday night, and you know, their defense is outstanding. They got some bodies back from the previous year, and then Reese Hannon is the guy on offense. He really does run their offense in a way that, you know, makes it kind of similar to the Coastal's offense. And you know, they played Coastal neck and neck right at the end, and actually played tough against Virginia Tech. So, you know, you got to give them your full attention at this point. If not, then you know that Greenville can be ugly. We got to really get ourselves together, and it's a good time for us to sit back and reflect and fix some of the issues. We got lots of things. We got special teams issues. You know, we got health issues. We got to be able to do some things offensively a little bit better. So we got plenty to do.
What are you seeing that's different about Furman this year compared to last year?
Well, the biggest difference between this year and last year is the quarterback position. They got the quarterback and the center back. They lost both those guys the previous year, the injury, and you know, they've actually got a linebacker too that they had out hurt last year too. So they've got most of their bodies back that are, you know, they're top-notch guys, and you know, that's gonna make all the difference in the world for them.
Coach, we talk about the quarterback play. Caleb's kind of thrown in the fire, but if you look at his stats, he's completed about 50% of his passes. Talk a little bit about his play.
Well, we think it's been pretty good. I think it's actually remarkable in the fact that you talk about a guy that's right out of high school, and he's, you know, come as far as he has, as long as he has, and you can see him improving in leaps and bounds. You know, as we get even during games, you can see that he's getting some things done that, you know, that you're a little bit surprised by. So, you know, his reads have been good. You know, he's gotten better at trying to figure out, you know, when to, you know, do certain things as far as the operational aspects of the team. He has done a nice job of grasping offense, and we had to run him out of here. You know, he's in this office all the time trying to, you know, get a grip on things and get a little bit better understanding of some things. And the fact now that he's starting to have some film that he can actually go back and reflect on, I think helps him even all that much more. So, you know, it's been a fun deal to watch here. This guy coming in here and playing as well as he has, as early as he has. You know, it'll be interesting to see exactly how he goes, where he goes, where they all go to from here.
How much does that help for the lined open holes, running backs to get the carries they got in this last game, and really kind of, I guess, settle him in, settle the offense in?
Yeah, well, it took a lot of stress off of the position too. We could actually run the football and not have to worry so much about, you know, having to force the quarterback to make a whole lot of, you know, unusually high-level style kind of plays. We put a lot of it on the running backs and the offensive line, and those guys have done, you know, a decent job of starting to come together. So we've got, I guess, maybe 7 or 8 of those guys that played this past Thursday, and you know, they're starting to get some confidence that way. Hopefully, we can continue to develop those guys to the point where, you know, they can be consistently decent throughout the rest of the year.
How key is that now from the loss to the win? You see where the offense put the defense in good position, kept them off the field. That helps out tremendously. It has to.
Well, you know, it was almost the exact opposite of the previous week. We ran, I think 92 or 93 snaps on offense when we had done the same thing on defense the previous week. You know, you can see what happens when you run that many snaps. You know, on one side of the ball, it just wears the opposite side out. So we've been fortunate in the fact that, you know, that we've seen both sides of it. Now we can maybe go ahead and take that information as information for how we got to go about proceeding. We can't do that. We can't allow, our defense to have to play that many snaps, and if that happens, then I'm sure the results will be similar.
How key was it to have a player like Leonard all over the place? You know, wherever the ball went, he was there, and the defense was moving to it. I mean,
Darius is that kind of guy. He moves around in a way where he gets to places in a hurry, and most times when he gets there in a pretty bad frame of mind. So, you know, he's our probably key playmaker, you know, in defense. Although we've got other guys around there. I'm excited about Deshaun Taylor. He's starting to make some, you know, some nice plays, and starting to carry on some responsibility in a way where you can depend on him to be a pretty steady guy. You know, the fact that our secondary was in such a shambles during the game was really a concern, and the fact that those guys were able to kind of carry the load in the linebacker and up front court to take some of the stress off of them was really good. But you know, we had Paulin down. You know, Philip Henry played, but you know he was effective. But you know, but he actually was not, you know, full speed. You know, for Antonio Hamilton to go down the way he did, you know, early in the game, you know, was really, you know, scary. So we had some guys that really came to the forefront, and you know, I'm looking to hope that we can at least get those guys back before the next game, the guys that we got down.
How much better has it been now practicing, coming off the win and looking at the season
Always
ahead?
better. Yeah, anytime you get a chance to, you know, practice, especially with an open date this way, you know, but a win on our belt is, you know, is kind of a special kind of feeling. You don't necessarily want to go through 2 weeks, and I've done this in the past, a time or two, go into an open week after having lost a game. You know, that thing sticks with you for a long time. We've been real fortunate. You know, the first game that we won, then we came back and played again. We got beaten up pretty good, but we had a short break in between the loss and the next game. The Thursday game last week was a godsend of sorts, and for us to go out and play well, you know, really makes a big difference. Now at this point, we can go on about the task of preparing for the rest of the season in a good frame of mind.
How much better was it to, like I said, get back to playing, but have the guys see that what they prepared to do, if they were in position and made the plays, it would work?
Well, I think that's, you know, what you aspire to be. You know, those things that you saw happen Saturday, last Thursday, you know, were things that, you know, that you're trying to be. And anytime you're being successful, then it's so much easier to you know, to get through a game, to, you know, to enjoy being a part of the game. You want the games to be fun. You want to be, you know, joyous, and you know, it's hard to be, you know, excited about playing and having a lot of fun playing, you know, when you're getting beaten up. So, you know, the fact that, you know, that we were in a game where, you know, I thought it was kind of an exciting, kind of fun kind of deal. We had a nice crowd. You know, I really got to take my hat off to our, you know, to our folk, in the fact that they did a nice job of getting a nice crowd out here that night. For a Thursday night game, that might have been the best crowd, the best atmosphere for any game that I've seen, you know, in our conference in a while. So, you know, I was really, real pleased with, you know, with the way the game went down, and also with the fact that we played. I think that made it a lot of fun, and with all the other stuff that we had going around the game too. Because I understand the bands were good and all that kind of stuff. So that's what kind of makes the whole thing come together for you.
Right. With this big break here, you get to work on every little thing you want to. How is it just with the kicking game, to have the kicking game, special teams be a good factor for you? I mean,
well, the first thing we got to do is we got to find, you know, if we can figure out how to catch a punt. You know, that almost by itself ran us into a you know, into a situation that we might not have been able to overcome. So we got to get that straight. And then the next thing is the fact that we got to continue to, you know, to work on developing some of our depth in the special teams game. We are starting now to play a good many guys who are down in our depth chart some, that we now get some confidence in the fact that we can put them out there and they can actually go out there and do those things that we can depend on being able to win with. If that be the case, that takes a lot of stress off of our front line guys. We play a lot of our ones on special teams, and although, you know, that may not necessarily be a bad thing, you know, eventually you do get to the point where you start to kind of wear them down some. So hopefully we can get some of those other guys involved. And you know, when you see some of the guys, you know, the Rugers and the Philip Harrises of the world, the names that you don't recommend. There was the tight end guys, you know, big bodies, kind of big skilled bodies. you know, that makes you really feel good about the fact that the future of your program might be pretty good.
Coach, we talk about the play offensive line. They racked up over 600 yards. They did a good job protecting Caleb, and good job blocking for Scoot to find some holes. Those guys seem to put things together at this point, huh?
You know, our offensive line did not play poorly against even Coastal.
Right.
And, you know, it was one of those games where, you know, everything they did kind of seemed to fall in place. They really did play better. Lehman and Charles Henderson at the tackles, both those guys have, you know, started to play pretty well for us. Both guys have protected well, and you can depend on them to, you know, to be above average in the run game. We got one of the things that we need to try to figure out a little bit is that sometimes, you know, the angles sometimes not quite as good as I like them in the screen game, but you know, they do show that they can do most of what we got to get done. And then Victor Ishmael at center, you know, has been above average. He's just a redshirt sophomore now. I think he might be a redshirt junior maybe. He's in his third year here, but now he's playing a bunch. Got 3 more years to play actually. So what does that make him? This year is that what it is? Redshirt sophomore. Okay, so that, you know, he's actually, you know, the next coming of, you know, one of the better centers we've had. Justin Evans and Eric Dickinson, both those guys played good at the guard positions. So, you know, I thought that those guys were, although I think that those guys are beginning to come along in a way that you really get a chance to, you know, think that you got a chance to have a pretty good offensive line. And then you got guys like Robert Stevenson and Josh Brown who start to, you know, show some sign that they can help some. So that's about 7 guys there.